Good morning, everyone. Palan just mentioned my title, so I'll start with my presentation. So the Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute, we are a statutory body under the Ministry of Civil Aviation and the Blue Economy, and we work towards planned sustainable development in Belize. An interesting fact is that we've been using GIS since 1995. We were the second government agency to use and develop a GIS. The first agency was the Lands Information Center in 1992. Under this project that I'm going to present on, we are the lead, but our partner is GRH Consulting, LLC from Alabama. So for my presentation, I'll be giving a brief overview, going into really what the issue was as to why this project was conceptualized, our goal, the methodologies and outputs, and the results and next steps. I must mention that this project was due in part because of a grant that we received from the EBVs on a cloud. Two partners were Microsoft and Esri. So we were really grateful to get a host of Esri software and products under the project. So the background, to give you an introduction of the 1997 Marine Habitat Map, at that time, Hugo Matos and CZMAI produced a 30-meter Landsat-based marine habitat map. We know that this map is about 2 decades old, and we really wanted to update this national map with updated mapping techniques while really leveraging the use of cloud computing. And this map was important because in 2005, it really helped to update the National Protected Areas policy and systems. But if we look at the map, it did not cover fully Belize's exclusive economic zone, and it left out portions of Corozal Bay Wildlife Sanctuary at the top. So we really wanted to increase the extent. So to do this, the goal was to use Microsoft Azure cloud computing power along with field surveys, 3-meter PlanetScope imagery, supplementary 10-meter Sentinel-2 imagery, and other machine learning techniques to really update this. So just some of the activities that were done: field data collection using ArcGIS field maps, or also known as, or was known as ArcGIS Collector, Drone to Map, GIS and remote sensing data processing. We utilized ArcGIS Pro, the spatial analyst tool for post-processing. And we had a series of workshops and validation, final validation, and we also had capacity building initiatives throughout this project. So this is the overall workflow. It's just to give you an idea of all that we did. And no, I won't be going through all of this, but I just wanted to show those who were really interested in all the steps and techniques that were done. But due to time, I'll just present on a brief overview. So the utilization of field data. So we contacted different co-managers and managers of MPAs in Belize who we know were actively collecting field data, specifically coral, mangrove, and seagrass monitoring data. And when we really overlaid the data sets, we realized that the circle, the oval that I have there highlighted in black or outlined in black, we realized that we did not have field data for those particular locations. So the CZMAI team went out in the field. We identified some specific sites. We uploaded these sites using field maps, and we uploaded it into our TDC 100 that we have, and we took out our drones, our Mavic 2 Pro drones, and we collected high resolution drone imagery as well as collected underwater imagery to really identify the particular habitat type of the specific area. And so after we collected the drone imagery, all the drone images were uploaded into Drone to Map, which we heavily utilize. This I just must mention that this can be this specific software can be procured from TBSL as well. And so we wanted to convert the raw still images from the DJI Mavic Pro 2 drone into actual ortho-rectified mosaics, so we can get a clearer view of what was there. And so we were able to fill the little gap that we had. And as I mentioned, we got field survey data from a list of different entities, such as SACD in the north, the Fisheries Department, Fragments of Hope, TIDE, UBERI, and WCS. So by looking at these points, you can see where different managers and co-managers are actively collecting data within Belize currently. And so now, using the field data that we collected and what the stakeholders provided, we could see that we could identify the field data types, such as the coral reef and seagrass locations that is shown on the map. And so then the next step was to acquire satellite data. A range of satellite data were gathered for processing within a virtual machine on Microsoft Azure. Higher spatial resolution PlanetScope data from Planet was also acquired and evaluated. And I want to say something very important. Under this project, we used virtual machines from Microsoft Azure. The virtual machine that was created had 112 gigabytes of RAM. And we know that in Belize, at times we have specific hardware that doesn't have enough RAM or processing power. Perhaps we don't have a screen with good resolution. And having these limitations really prolongs the processing of satellite imagery or data on a whole. And so the use of a virtual machine allows processing to continue to run on a daily basis, and you can shut it off when you want. So this really was a game changer for us. And if we did not have the use of virtual machines, it would have really extended the overall project timeline by a number of months. So what we did was upload or download ArcGIS Pro onto the virtual machines and then run all of the processing on there. And so just to show, this is a seafloor topography and a bathymetry that was derived from the satellite imagery. And then the next step was the actual image classification. So the comparison with reference data sets and the intra-classification comparison really allowed for generating an ensemble of results. And both of these comparisons were done in the ArcGIS environment. And we also made use of the Spatial Analyst Reclassified tool. And that's to show the red dots are a host of training data that was gathered in the development of the final result. So on the left is the final result that we have, the last version that we have. This is still a preliminary map because the final results will be out at the end of this month. We recently had a validation session, and feedback from that session are still being used to tweak this map a little bit. So you are indeed seeing some of the preliminary final results for under this project. And so now if we compare the 1997 map and the 2021 map, we can see that indeed we extended it outwards to include Belize's EEZ, and also the top portion, the north, the Corozal Bay Wildlife Sanctuary was missing. So we filled that in. However, I must note and stress that by looking at the two images, we cannot say that perhaps there was more seagrass then compared to now, or less coral compared to now, because understanding, working with satellite imagery and really remote sensing, at that time when that 1997 map was created, I mentioned at the start of this presentation that they use 30-meter Landsat imagery, and we used a different scale. So different techniques were used. So we can't really say that there was more or less marine habitat. So I just wanted to stress that. You can't really use it as a comparison, really. But this is the preliminary outputs that we have for the 2021 marine habitat map. So if we zoom in into a particular location, primarily looking at that Ambergris Key, Cocker area, we could just see the fine details that we have in the revised draft of the National Marine Habitat Map. So it's just for you to see the different habitat types in the area at a more zoomed in scale. So finally, the next steps, as I mentioned, we recently had a stakeholder validation session. Then there will be a resharing of the results at the end of this month. All this data will be publicly available. Those who wish to get access to the data can contact CZMAI. I have my email information there. You can contact us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can visit our website there. And at the bottom, I have at BZGeo Twitter handle, that if you would like more information on what Belize is doing within the GIS realm or within the different SDG projects, you can visit that, follow and visit that handle. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you once again.